Jamestown Caliph on Instagram. It's Good Friday today, 2021. And the news real quick, I just learned that Major League Baseball has decided to move their All-Star game from the city of Atlanta to a different city over the new voting situation that occurred in Georgia. And it's kind of sad because they did not get the facts correct, and the media on the left have totally twisted this issue. And it's kind of scary because it's totally discouraged me to want to continue to do news anymore. This whole idea of attacking the other person based on their beliefs or ideas, and it's kind of getting not only out of hand, but the other side is being dishonest, number one. I'm seriously concerned about it because it's totally discouraged me to want to do news. I'm going to go to the next topic, and I want to say real quick to NBC's Lestor Holt in your comments the other day, for you to stick those comments as far up your ass as possible, because those comments were directed towards me, the Jamestown, California show, and other news sources that you attacked because you want to get the credit for what's true or not true, and humiliating and discrediting social media or college students, journalists that beat you to all the punch. When I heard that comment, Lester, you are attacking people, saying that information from other people in a national emergency is not only wrong but dangerous. Well, you were the one that gave bad information. You, your company, Brian Williams. And I want to talk about Brian Williams because, Molly, you were on the show the other day, and Brian Williams and his crew was brought up in your discussion. And I want you to go back to the narration of the 2001 attacks, because what I do remember was how Brian Williams was narrating it as if he was narrating some form of I told you so, or you deserved it, or good, versus broadcasting. And I want you guys to go over those live Brian Williams tapes 2001, because in my opinion, this whole issue has been going on before it started now. It's been going on for a while now. There's no purpose for me to want to do news anymore when I'm discouraged to the point where I'm intimidated. I'm straight up intimidated because I do not have the income coming in or the money to be able to support what I want to do. It's been like this on and off since 2005, 2006. When I was capable of doing this kind of work, I had a lot more resources at the time, and my resources were slowly taken away with my moves, having to move, because I became less and less middle class. Things like moving stuff from the storage, losing my entire publications of 1993, and all the Clinton administration stuff. I kept a good 6 or 7 different publications I lost during a move. And also all the books that I had to sell the books because I had so many books, I couldn't carry them around. And what's ironic about those books, they were all about our history, the U.S. history. They were such good books. And I still think about when I did give up those books during the Obama administration, how the economy was just so bad that I was literally crying that I had to give up my books when I sold them that day at the Westminster Mall. Civil War books, Revolution books. And you guys, the current government doesn't want us to learn about our history. I'm really concerned about our future. I can understand in the future that why kids are going through what they're going through and why crime is going up the way it's going up. Number one, there's nothing to look forward to when the things that you want to do in life are stripped away with things that are out of your power. And I think the lockdowns last year not only hurt a lot of people, but taught a lot of people that maybe they cannot achieve the things that they want to achieve. Or they were already in a certain situation where they achieved what they wanted and then business just got hammered. You hurt a lot of people last year, but the effects this year and next year, you're going to really see the effects, especially now with this administration. They've lied to us. I've noticed there's multiple breaches of trust and grounds for impeachment, but the media is not going to allow other people to report while Lestor Holt has those comments so far his ass that he's the first person that if I was in the George Bush administration that I would definitely question. Where are you getting your information and who is pulling your strings? Because you're either super unintelligent, Lestor, or more than one person in your group is trying to make this information out to discourage kids to even want to go to school. The reason why kids are not going to school is they want kids to be in virtual school anyway. Number one. That's very serious. Almost 2 years, at least 3 or 4 semesters now. And Jen Psaki's excuse for the San Diego situation, oh, it's spring break. By lying, you've breached your trust, and the administration needs to be called out on breaching their trust. I don't understand how they could continue to put forth economic packages. You're talking trillions and trillions of dollars. The American Rescue Package was supposed to be a rescue package. And since only 9% was COVID related, you had 90% going to your interests. Now, California got $41 billion. That should be enough for their infrastructure, don't you think? I'll tell you what's unfair about voting restrictions, Major League Baseball. The fact that California is always blue. And California should be divided in Southern and Northern California and split those 55 or 56 electoral votes to see if Southern California is red and Northern California is blue. It's not fair that California hijacks all the electoral votes from all the voters every single election. And they've deficit spended. It's proof that they're not able to manage the bank, and they keep getting rewarded. They got rewarded $41 billion for shutting down businesses, and businesses went out of business. I mean, there's just no logic. And that's what's so funny is they know that what's logical, they smear it in your face and they say, yeah, we're going to lie again. And then they lie again and they say it's okay because they want to stick that finger in your face. Just like Lestor Holt's comments, stick those comments as far up your ass, Lestor, on Easter Sunday. And if George Bush was in charge, like I said, you'd be the first person to be questioned. I want people to go over those tapes on 9/11 and how NBC was narrating it. I think it's very important, and the how dare you. You need to go back and start looking at the hijack. They hijacked us that day, the media. And since that day, they've continued to hijack. I want to know what they know. I want to know how their people now are in charge. how all this got mixed, and now all the things, how they've been able to benefit. Because they've been able to benefit. It's only white and black in the media. And they want to take over this idea that everybody's bad when we're a diverse society. But I don't see in your group any Arab Americans in your group exploring news. And if they were exploring news, Lestor, you wouldn't allow them to bust out the truth. You say you care about children so much, but when was the last time you reported on the Syria campaign and the civilian children that were getting bombed over UN resolutions? Why is this important? Because the Trump administration got out of the Iran nuclear deal. And now, after all the dishonesty, the Joe Biden administration, the world without the United States wants to reinstate the Iran nuclear deal, while the Iran nuclear deal funneled money in the Syria campaign. And the Syria campaign is now almost done. They want to reinstate that money so they can go help the government when their government's beaten. You're telling me you support freedom, Lestor Holt? You could stick those comments, Lestor Holt, as far up your ass on Easter Sunday. And like I said, George Bush needs to be reinstated, in my opinion. At least the George Bush administration mentality. Number one, I have that mentality. And I'm just sick and tired of being insulted while I'm trying to do news, and I'm being discouraged to do news since the last so many years. It's just, I can only imagine what kids are going through. Why go to college if you're going to go to college for journalism? You have to be told what you have to do and what you have to say because of scumbags like Lestor Holt. And then you want to give that student loan a reimbursement because you already know there's no purpose in that person's education. Horrible. Major League Baseball, what you guys did was wrong to Georgia and the local economy. Baseball and politics are not supposed to have anything to do with one another. And you allowed your group, because you don't have good information or you're not diverse. You're not diverse. I've been trying to get into Fox News sports for a very long time, and you don't have any Arab Americans doing play-by-play. None. You're not diverse. I'm going to tell you that. You don't go out and recruit in the colleges. You only put the people you want to put in to go and speak what you want to speak, all the groups. And I'm just real disappointed in Major League Baseball. And then seeing that on the Fox Sports network, that they're going to move it over the elections. Let me tell you the difference between the new law. They have 17 days to vote. How is that voter suppression? Where in my vote in California, I send it, I get ridiculed for not being a Democrat. I get crapped on for not being a Democrat, that I have to re-register as an independent because I have people on the waves calling the post-insurrectionists, people that are non-Trump supporters, but they are Republicans. You're insulting us to the point where we're re-registered independent and you're still insulting us? It's not going to work like that. We're going to have to use another form of media to work on this. My radio show was constantly working against this culture, and they want to crap on what I liked in music. I got out of DJing because rap music is so bad, I couldn't play it anymore, and I didn't want to play it anymore. All the girls played it. It literally sucks listening to rap music for 6 or 7 hours when I like playing rap music only during certain segments, different kind of rap music. They've totally changed it. I want to talk about voter suppression. In California, my vote doesn't mean anything. So before you guys want to go and move the Major League Baseball from one venue to another, I'm doing this report to see where this All-Star game was going to go. Number one, if it does come to California, San Diego, and I would love for it to be in Anaheim. But if it comes to California, you're going to see a double standard because the new Georgia law gives you 17 days to vote. There's no suppression there. I don't understand. If you can't get an ID, you're saying that those people are either stupid or poor. You just bailed out the states. They have the ability with that bailout money for people to apply to get the $19 or $29, and they can get a free ID. Listen, if there's no ID, there's no voting right, in my opinion. That's not voter suppression. That's not prejudice. You need an ID to go anywhere, to get food, to use your card. You need to have an ID to vote to protect the integrity of the vote. And if that's what Lestor Holt and what he's talking about is wrong, considered wrong, he's the one that's wrong. I'm going to leave the take right there. The media versus the media has gotten to the point where I never knew it was going to get to this point. I did the media versus the media because I knew before Twitter that the little guy with enough money could do it independently and produce news and get the news before the news gets the news and basically beat you to the punch on a lot of reports if it was a little more organized and people were making money. But you guys crapped on us in radio at the 2001 bailout situation when all the rates for all the spots doubled, when they knew all you companies were getting that free money. It's the same thing right now, trying to squeeze out little media, trying to squeeze out education, trying to squeeze out the American workforce. It's not a coincidence that Joe Biden is such a numbskull that they have the Texas crossings now deliberately. And the very next bill after the rescue plan, non-COVID related, right now, is the infrastructure plan. Assuming all these new people are going to be the ones getting those jobs because they hide half those jobs anyway. We're in a situation where we're in a narco state. We're allowing criminals to get out of jail that have murdered. Instead of, they're out on the street, instead of being somewhere else doing some other kind of work. And then we're the ones that are doing the slave labor. This is not just madness. It's grounds for impeachment. If they continue to lie, the big media needs to build a case versus the administration because, in my opinion, there is some sort of conspiracy. The conspiracy is this. Number one, the Democrats want to control all three branches of government versus having it equal branches. By wanting to take over the judicial branch shows you that they want even more, that they're willing to take over the executive branch, and that's where they're at right now over the policy. And that's a breach of trust right there. And you guys need to look at that. And if there were meetings or Zoom meetings or conversations when Pete Buttigieg and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders were all leading and more popular in the polls than Joe Biden. And then magically, right before the coronavirus pandemic, they all consolidated and Joe Biden became the winner. You gotta be fucking kidding me. And I don't want to say that I don't believe the election was, there might not have been evidence of cheating, but the Supreme Court did not look at a couple of cases that needed to be looked at. And like I said, my vote in California was a waste of a vote. And everyone who votes red is a waste of a vote. And that's voter suppression, in my opinion. So if you're going to put the All-Star game up in San Francisco or in Oakland or in San Diego or in Los Angeles, let's talk about voter suppression and get the facts right first. That's the number one issue in the news is people like Lestor Holt, who on Easter Sunday has that comment so far up his ass that the other people in his group actually believes it. Please don't tell me you care about children, because I asked you guys to cover the bombings of civilians in schools and hospitals by the Russian UN violations in Iran, and you did not cover it. You don't care about children. You guys are all misrepresenting the news. Why is that important? Because you guys are encouraging now to reinstate the Iran nuclear deal when they're beaten, when they're poor, when they're under sanctions, when China has no oil, and the only place they're now getting oil is through those sanctions through Iran. You guys are allowing the balance of power to be shifted, not only by your bad information in the Lestor Holt trying to hoard the information, but don't criticize other people when their information is more correct than your information. In NBC, you should be ashamed of yourselves on all levels. And maybe some people should ban watching NBC sports. But people aren't that low to do that. But I want to know where they're going to put this All-Star game is my next question. And people need to start paying more attention to the news. I'm discouraged of doing the news. I'm going to start moving to science fiction because I just can't stress out enough like this anymore. It's just too much stress for me. I've done all the work that I wanted to do, and this week was the things I wanted to achieve, and I achieved them. So I'm leaving news, and I'm moving into science fiction. I'll be paying attention to sports. I'd like to thank people like Lestor Holt, discouraging people that want to do news, junior college. Lestor, you only put the people that you want up there to broadcast and do field reporting. You're not a news organization. You're an absolute pathetic, hideous, and ridiculous human being. And I don't want to say that, there will be someone that looks into the NBC network for the 2001 attacks and how you narrated it, because I want to have someone look into how you guys looked at our country that day while it was happening. That is very important, because one of the things I do remember about the 2001 attacks was how Brian Williams just shat on the viewers while we were being attacked. Like it was okay. And Brian, I'm just concerned, like, how have you been able to keep your job when you've been able to spew so much wrong all this years, while all these other people in college go to college and they want to be broadcasters and journalists? You have Lestor Holt saying, no, you guys aren't good enough. We're the ones that are good enough. While you're the ones giving poor and incorrect information. And every time I try to want to watch one of your shows, it's unwatchable. All of them, especially the MSNBC crew. You guys are all fake broadcasters with no journalism value whatsoever on that network. So before you guys insult the lower college level or even higher level like Fox News that does a way better job when it comes to honesty, you guys need to start looking at your crew. And Lestor Holt, one more time, I want you to stick those comments as far up your ass as possible. And F you for saying that to anyone that is out there trying to get information during a national emergency, when you tell people to lock down, close their business. It's embarrassing that you guys weren't even able to make a difference in any one issue for 12 months while everyone is locked down. Lestor, you need to resign. Joe Biden and the administration, you need to resign, because in my opinion, a case should be starting to unfold of the amounts of times not only your press secretary, but your administration is straight up lying. And when you're lying on those press conferences and you're doing the exact opposite, you don't have to be America first, but it's not America last. It's the United States of America that's supposed to be going first in all policy, not last. This excuse that we're 20th in infrastructure, how many bills have you guys passed that some of that money could have gone to state infrastructure just by balancing the budget? But you don't want to balance the budget. I know what you're doing with infrastructure money. I'm going to do that on another take. YouTube.com. Jamestown, California. Thank you for listening.